Technology changes our lives so gradually that most of the time we do not even notice it happening. One day something feels strange. A few years later, it feels normal. Then eventually people forget there was ever a time without it. That process has happened over and over throughout history. There was a time when talking to someone on the other side of the world was difficult. A time when getting information meant finding a book or asking someone who knew the answer. A time when taking a photo was something special instead of something people do every day. To us, those things sound unusual, but to the people living back then, that was normal. The interesting thing about technology is that it does not just change what we can do, it changes what we expect. And once expectations change, our idea of normal changes as well. Think about smartphones. Today, if your phone disappears for a day or even in a few hours, it feels like a major problem. Not because people are just addicted to them necessarily, but because so much of the daily life depends on them. Messages, maps, photos, banking, videos, music, work, information, all of it sits inside a device that fits in your pocket. But if you gave a modern smartphone to someone from 30 years ago, it will probably seem unbelievable. They would see something that feels almost futuristic. Meanwhile, many people today get annoyed when a page on the internet takes a few extra seconds to load, and that's me included. That is how quickly expectations change. Technology solves a problem, people get used to the solution. Then the solution becomes the new standard. Eventually, nobody thinks about it anymore. The internet is another example. Having access to nearly endless information would have sounded incredible not too long ago. Today, people can learn almost anything within a few searches: languages, history, science, cooking, fitness, how to fix things, almost any subject imaginable. Yet many people barely think about how unusual that actually is because they grew up with it. It feels normal. That is one of the most powerful things technology does. It turns miracles into routines. Something extraordinary becomes something ordinary. Then people move on to expecting even more. You can see this in communication as well. There was a time when hearing from someone far away could take days or even weeks. Now people get impatient if a text message is not answered quickly. The speed of communication has changed what we consider reasonable. People expect responses faster, updates faster, information faster, everything moves faster. Whether that is good or bad depends on who you ask. But it shows how technology shapes expectations. Social media has changed normal life in a bit of a different way. For most human history, people compare themselves mainly to people around them: friends, family, co workers, classmates. Now people can compare themselves to millions of strangers every day at any moment. Someone who's richer, who's more attractive, more jacked, more successful, someone who just has a better lifestyle, who's funnier. That changes how people view themselves. Things that were once considered impressive can start feeling average when you are constantly exposed to the highlights of their lives. Technology did not just create a new tool, it changed the environment people live in mentally. Entertainment has changed as well. Not long ago, if you missed a TV show, you might have to wait a long time to see it again, let alone the specific episode you actually missed. Today, people can watch entire seasons whenever they want. Thousands of movies, millions of videos, insane amount of music. instantly. What was once luxury has become something many people barely even think about. The same thing happens with convenience. Food can be delivered. Transportation can be arranged through an app. Products can arrive at your door without you even entering a store or even leaving your house. Tasks that once required planning can now happen in minutes. As convenience increases, patience often decreases. People become used to getting things quickly. When something takes longer, it feels unusual even if it would have seemed incredibly fast in the past. Technology also changes childhood. We can especially see this in the newer generation. It changes education, it changes friendships, it changes work. Entire generations grow up with completely different experiences because of the tools available around them. Someone born today will probably consider things normal that do not even exist yet, just like previous generations adapted to inventions that once seemed impossible. The most interesting part is that we are usually bad at noticing these changes while they happen. People often imagine major changes as dramatic events, but many of the biggest shifts happen behind the scenes. A new technology appears, a few people use it, more people adopt it. Businesses adapt to it, schools adapt to it, families adapt to it. Then eventually society adapts to it. Years later, it feels like it was always there. That process is happening right now with technologies that are still in development. Artificial intelligence is one example. Today, it still feels like a new thing to many people. There are debates about what it will change, questions about how it should be used, and concerns about the future. But if it continues improving and becomes part of everyday life, future generations may see it the same way we see smartphones or the internet. Something ordinary, something expected, something they cannot imagine living without. The truth is that normal is not a fixed thing. Normal changes. Every generation grows up with different standards, different tools, and different expectations. Technology plays a huge role in shaping those expectations. What feels advanced today may feel very basic tomorrow. What feels impossible today may feel ordinary in a few decades. And perhaps the most surprising thing is that when those changes arrive, most people will barely notice them happening. They will simply adapt, just like people always have. And one day they will look back at the present and wonder how everyone ever lived this way.